here. So, ladies, today we're talking about games, as you have already guessed. Wow. I don't see my presentation. I wonder why. Presentation. Yes, here it is. So I'll just start sharing my screen. Yay, games. So why did we decide to talk about it? First of all, it was Nikita's idea that now they've been creating some game for you to use with your students about how to be a millionaire. And some teachers have already tested that. If you are one of them, please share the experience, what kind of game it is, how your students react. Do you find it useful, what it's actually aimed at? That's interesting. And when Nikita started asking this question in the chat, here is, as far as I remember, what Svetlana said. That students like different games, something that actually comes not only from some books for teachers, but something from TV shows. And they have fun, they are creative, they ask some unexpected questions. And again, it's practice. So games work, students like them, teachers like them, why not? As we found out, there were not so many participants in the poll, but nevertheless, there was no one who said, no, I never use games. So most of you use games. Some people even use them quite often. Also, that's mostly for giving extra practice and, of course, adding some fun to the lesson. So here my first question is, why is it a good way to give extra practice? Who would like to say a couple of words?
We can, as we play, we don't feel any pressure. We don't read the book and we don't try to understand some strange rule about something. We just learn by repeating some phrases. It's a relaxed way. They don't need to learn anything. And when they watch some short video, they, I don't know, again, they are relaxed and they just watch it. They laugh with some other people there, with the audience, for sure. They understand jokes and they enjoy the moment so that they understand these jokes.
Great. And by the way, I believe that if you use the games from TV shows and you actually show the fragments before, like a way to introduce the rules, I think it's really great for students because they, first of all, they see that it's something from real life, that people do it for fun, not for practicing present perfect. They don't realize that. And then they can associate themselves with those celebrities that came to talk to Jimmy Fallon or Ellen, right? And oh wow, Ben Stiller does that. I can do the same, huh? How cool is that? Yeah, probably that's another secret. Okay, anyone else? Any other opinions? Why is it a good way to practice?
I think it's a good way to practice because they don't notice that they study. It just happens naturally. They play, they have fun.
Okay, and 5 of you have chosen to meet students' expectations, which is, 35% is quite a decent amount, but still it's not the majority of the students. So my question here is, do students generally expect to have fun, maybe not only in the form of games, or do they come to, to have some blood, sweat, and tears, to work hard, study diligently, or are they mostly relaxed?
Some come and they ask me, for example, after the first lesson, I'm gonna ask them how they feel, if you like it, if the level is okay for you, if it's hard or not. Some say, yes, I would like it to be very hard because learning is about hard work, about rules, about learning, about everything else. And with the help of this part of the show video, I think they understand that it's not necessarily like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and it could be a pleasant surprise. Right, I used to work for a school where one of the requirements was to work with the dictionary that comes with the course book. And the school's idea was that it's good to do it like, from A to Z as the dictionary goes. So there no connection between the words. They start with the same letter, and this is it. So how can you practice really? It's boring, like to learn 15 words starting with A for today. And I was also doing it. I was always doing it in a form of some game, trying to come up with different vocabulary games every time. And eventually all my students were speaking about their homework in the same way. When I was asking them what they did, how their homework was, they would say, I did this, I did that, and I'm ready to play with the dictionary. So they just, whatever they did, even if they didn't do some other parts of their homework, to play with the dictionary was usually their favorite. Even if it was just, a random set of words starting with the same letter. But they took it for granted that if we have this dictionary page, we only play. So, yeah, even if they want to work hard and to learn words, sometimes, it could be your initiative to turn it into some kind of fun. And as we can see, the majority of students really likes games, but as someone said, some students think that they are useless. Who has such students who don't really like games? No, not you. Unfortunately, I didn't copy the name. So no one has students who are against games.
Alicia wrote in chat that her students don't
Sorry?
like. Alicia wrote in chat that her students don't like.
Okay, I don't see the chat again. I wonder why. Alicia, can you tell us more? Maybe I can. What can I do? I don't know what I can do to see the chat. Maybe stop sharing for a moment. Oh, now I can see. Alicia. So we're waiting for some details from you. I'll continue sharing. Oh, yeah, now we can see all those buttons because of a note. The teacher is not excited enough about games. Right, Alyssa shared that she's not really into games. Well, there are more things to do than just play games. I'm not saying that games are a universal way of practicing everything, but it's a good way. There was a unanimous opinion that yes, everyone can play games, any ages, children, teenagers, adults, senior citizens, everyone can play games. Okay, so then probably there's nothing to discuss here, but there was an opinion that games are not suitable for all levels. So what do you think? Which levels benefit the most? Is it better for beginners, pre-intermediate, intermediate, advanced students to play games?
I think for all levels, because we're all people, we all like the majority again, not all. We like some games, so we like some funny stories, films, and etc. And I have a beginner. He is not maybe a complete beginner, but he's afraid to go to the next level. I don't know why. We had the test with him, and he said, "No, can I stay here?" Something like that. And so we tried to play one game from Jimmy Fallon show, by the way. He watched the video. He didn't understand for sure a lot, but he understood some answers. There were some simple answers, like why the sun is why the sun is hot, and the answer was yellow. So he caught some words, he understood some questions, and it was a fantastic feeling for him. Oh, I understood something.
That's a authentic video, and he understood it. That's
yes,
great.
and we played after that. and he was able to construct some questions and to answer them fast. It was a think fast game. So I think for every level is suitable. Why not?
Right, and Victoria says that it's most beneficial for beginners because it can be difficult to start. Right, this is what we call affective filter. You know, if you have negative emotions, they like block, this filter closes, and they don't let any information get in. So if we create some situation where this filter goes down, the knowledge can get inside the student's head. Okay. So yeah, we can say that it's mostly for beginners and elementary students that games are really, really beneficial because they decrease their anxiety, their inconfidence, and so on. But for any other students, because sometimes we can see that a person comes and says, oh, I don't speak English at all, I don't know anything, and you start working with them and you realize that the student has the intermediate level. I'm sure you've seen such students. So sometimes people are very insecure even if they're not that low in their English proficiency. So for such people it's also good. Right, and another opinion about the courses. So most of you think that games are suitable for all types of courses, but still there were some participants that said that no, not for all types of courses, we can use games. So what do you think, ladies? Which courses are better without games?
I can't imagine because I like games myself. I like how students react and our work during such games because we work together and we know each other better thanks to these games. And I don't know. I have a student, for example, who is preparing for IELTS, and we have some lessons from the general course, and I can't imagine just to read all these rules. Okay, here you need to understand the main idea. Here you need to I don't know, to learn how to read a text properly to be able to pass it. I think here, I don't know, she has so much energy and emotions, and just to read text and discuss it, she will fall asleep. Or what I'm going to do there? I don't know.
Right. Even if it's not the main aim of your course to provide the maximum amount of fun for your student, still, why not? It could be a warmer, a filler, something between activities, you know, just to let the student have at least some fun. Exam preparation could go well with games. For the student to react quickly, like all those celebrities do on TV shows, why not? They will need it for speaking practice. So that could be our explanation why we are playing games, even if we're doing such a serious work as preparing for exams. About business. So Alessia was wondering if it's the type of the course where we don't really need games. Irina says she would die without games. I like this idea. If the course is not about funerals, then why not? And actually, role-playing games about funerals, they could actually exist. If your student works for a funeral home, maybe you need to role-play some funless conversations with clients. Yeah, that's also a game, actually, role plays, right? So we can assume that if both teachers and students are in favor of games, we can use games with any type of courses. My student in oil and gas and technical areas think that games are useless. Irina, can you please explain why? You can actually turn on your microphone if it's convenient to save us some time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So yes, they believe when I started to play a game, just was intellectual game. She asked me, Irina, what are we doing now? I don't think that it will lead to my goal in my, for example, technical area. I think that my level, intellectual level, is enough for my work, and I need more terms and something like that, but not playing games.
What kind of game was it?
It was like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, about countries which are rich on different natural reserves. I have prepared this game for her. But yes, she thinks that it's useless and we should concentrate more. So she's too reserved and she has she's very strict goal oriented, yes. So like she wants to study this and no more.
Okay, and what was your reason to choose this game? What did you want to practice with the game?
It was she's working in oil and gas area, so she has with many countries, many companies. I want her just to maybe to share some experience about natural reserves, and she finds unuseful.
Yeah, but I mean, was it to practice some vocabulary, to train some grammar, to provide some speaking practice in a different
I think that more speaking practice, yes, no grammar.
Practice. So, and it was.
And of course, words which we have learned, with her previous time.
Maybe for such students, you should just explain that now you don't even have to say, let's play a game. You can say, now let's practice vocabulary.
Of course, I was not so, let's play a game.
Yeah, so if she doesn't like it, that's fine. We can all have, different interests and, well, if it's, again, one-to-one, it should be what the student mostly wants in terms of formats and types of activities. If she doesn't like playing games, like Alesa shared with us, she doesn't like playing games. Why should she do something that is not fun for her when it's supposed to be fun?
Maybe yes, so, but it was also an experience that, okay, so at least I tried, but...
Well, maybe later you'll try again, maybe a different game, maybe she will be more willing to play. Okay, so what do you usually play and why? What are your games aimed at? So here are some quotes from the poll. Let's see. I can give you half a minute to look through the list. And if you want to share something, maybe you have some really good strategy how to introduce this or that game, feel free to tell us. Okay, how about we start with the taboo game? Is it a vocabulary activity or a speaking activity? Because, as we can see, different teachers put it in different categories. Do you all know what we're talking about? What kind of game taboo is? Anyone? Okay, the taboo game is, we have some message in the chat. Vocabulary and speaking, both. Okay, let's talk about that. When you play taboo, there's a word that you have to explain without using some words that make this explanation easy. Like, for example, you have to describe the word milk, not using the words cow, drink, and white. So you have to be creative. You have to practice paraphrasing, different, given definitions. So it could actually be a kind of grammar practice as well, because you will probably need to say something like, it's a liquid that, relative clauses for you. It could have different aims. So I would agree that it's vocabulary and speaking and also grammar if you need that, because you can choose such words that require paraphrasing using particular grammar structures. So that's an interesting activity. Anything else that you want to share? You can see something that you've chosen for this list. Okay, then let's see. To improve speaking, listening, reading, the last point. I'm not sure if Juliana is with us today, probably not. Mostly when we play games, we speak. How do we improve listening and reading while playing games? Can you come up with any games that are aimed at listening and reading?
If to talk about the video, they are listening. They try to understand the rules. Maybe if they watch a video, for example, and after we play this game, for sure they practice listening. Reading, I think it's more about such games like, unfortunately, I forgot. How is it? I forgot the name of this game. When you have someone asks you questions, you give answers, and then these words are inserted into the text.
Mad Libs.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's reading and writing, actually, if you make the story. By the way, talking about listening, we play together with the student. The student has to listen to us. That's listening too, because if they don't understand your definition, how can they guess the word and so on? So yeah, games could be aimed at all skills, grammar, vocabulary. No one mentioned pronunciation here, but there are such games as well. Do you know Mad Gabs? There are Mad Libs when you put particular parts of speech in the text. And there are also Mad Gabs when you have a phrase that is a complete nonsensical set of words, but it sounds similar to a real phrase. I'll write the title of the game later. You can Google. There are some online resources for that. And you should guess the real game. Okay, type here. Mad Gabs. Yeah, you can just Google it later. It's fun. It's challenging. I wouldn't recommend it for low-level students in the form that you can find it online, unless you change the words by yourself. Because what I've seen, and actually used to play, they require quite a good ear for sounds, and quite a good range of vocabulary. But you can take some phrases that you are studying with your student and just change them a little bit for the student to guess what it sounds like. So unless you modify something by yourself, then for low-level students it could be challenging, but still it's fun. So you can see what it looks like, and maybe you can come up with your own simplified version of that. So as we can see, that's really great that you are so creative. You use games for everything: vocabulary, grammar, sentence structure, which is also part of grammar, right? Speaking practice. That's nice. Yes, so Irina gave us an example. Okay, so let's oops. Jumped ahead. Okay, so why can we use games? Let's sum it up a bit before we start practicing with our student. So this is a welcome break from the usual routine. As Svetlana described at the beginning of our seminar, that sometimes students come to the lesson, they're so bored from, what they have to do in their real life, and here we can introduce an element of fun. Games are motivating, they're challenging, they can give you an opportunity to practice pretty much everything. Students, if they agree to play your game, it's hard for them to just keep silent. Yes, they have to interact, to communicate, and we have some meaningful context for language use, not just fill in the gaps with present perfect, but do it in the form of a game. In terms of our emotions and feelings, games lower the affective filter. Yes, it's less stressful for the student to play a game than to do some grammar activity where when there's a mistake, ta-dam, it's red, it's stressful, it's not nice. Games encourage creative and spontaneous use of language because they get involved, they are more willing to take risks and say something that otherwise they would think, oh, that's too difficult, maybe I won't do that. Communicative competence is also promoted, so they are becoming more willing and more able to communicate, and motivation again and fun. So this is something that makes our students more confident that they can actually use English, not just do exercises, yes, but use English. And of course, it has something to do with learning because they can see that they can apply what they've learned, that present perfect is not just for filling in the gaps, but also for having some fun like celebrities do on TV. They review what they've learned, and sometimes they learn something new in the process, like how to describe things. And actually, such games as Taboo, what could be our rationale for that? If you don't know some word, you can still explain, and the people you're talking to can guess and help you. If you forgot the word, I don't know, fork, you can say that this is something that we eat with. Yes, we use a knife and this, and they will say a fork. Something in the chat. The students are spontaneous and creative without any games. They don't need extra help. Okay, that works for us. And games can help us focus on grammar, vocabulary in a communicative manner. Yes, not something mechanical to focus on form, but something that looks like people, like something that people do in real life. Also, games are student-centered. Student is involved, student is active, his talking time is increasing. That's good for us. As we can see, it's suitable for all ages, all levels, all interests, all courses. And usually, if you know how to play a game, or you created a game, you designed it for your students, after that, it doesn't require a lot of preparation. You can play it easily because you just have everything that you need for that game. Okay, I guess we should start playing. Julia, the student, can you please turn on your camera so that we can see you? I can play with Julia, but if there are some volunteers, feel free to jump in. So let's start with something really simple. 20 questions, Julia. Here you can see the charming lady, and our game is about guessing. So let's guess who this lady is. You can ask me any yes-no questions that come to your mind, but I'll be counting. There should be no more than 20.
Okay, so I should ask you questions, yes?
Right.
Okay. Is this woman is famous?
Of course.
Okay, and she created something.
Yes, yes, she did.
Is this woman still alive?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. This woman is American?
No,
Or
she wasn't American.
no? I don't count how many questions I
4.
asked you. Okay. Well, maybe this woman is maybe this woman connected with linguistic sphere.
Kind of. Yeah, something to do with. Not exact. She's not a scientist. She wasn't. I'm sorry, she wasn't a scientist. But yeah, it has something to do with linguistics, so to say.
This woman wrote something famous.
Yes, she did.
And maybe her name started on the okay. The first letter of her second name is consonant.
You mean her surname, her last name?
Yeah.
Maybe she has some second name, like middle name, but I have no idea what it is, honestly. Okay, her last name, yeah, it starts with a consonant. Wow, you have really interesting questions. Okay.
Oh, and maybe her first name started also on consonant.
No.
No. Oh, it's very hard. I need the help of our audience.
Yeah, actually, ladies, join in. Ask away.
And then maybe this woman is from Britain.
No, she wasn't from Britain.
No. Okay, I need help. Maybe someone helps me.
Come on, ladies. Yeah, let's help because
It will be more interesting, and I have some questions.
Was she right? A question from Olesa. Yes, she was.
Did she write about money?
Not that I know of, and that was question number 11, by the way.
Is she from Germany?
No, she wasn't.
Was she from royal family? Or from famous family?
No, at least not that I know of. No. She's definitely not royal.
Did she write about a man who could fly?
Yes!
And who lived on the roof?
Exactly! Did you
and
Google?
Who had a friend who was a boy? Yes.
Yes, did you Google the picture?
No,
No?
I can't Google pictures. I just guessed from the name and surname. Astrid?
Astrid Lindgren.
Yay! Wow, that was very
I Googled
smart.
her name, yes, because I thought maybe it's her. So.
Yeah, good guess. Okay. So, Yulia, was it fun for you to play?
Yes, it was fun.
What do you think we were practicing?
I think that we were practicing questions.
Okay. Do you think you had a good practice of questions in this game?
I had a good practice, but I hadn't good questions because it's very hard to formulate right questions and to formulate them correctly.
Okay, so maybe in this game we learned that questions, especially past tenses, is something that we need to work on, right?
Yeah.
So if you are my real student, that should be our next grammar topic. Because even if I was prompted and you say, is she German? I said, no, she wasn't. Yes, you were not catching that it shouldn't be in the past. So as we can see, games could be not only for practice, but it could be some kind of a diagnostic test. Okay, let's play a game before we start studying past simple. And if your student asks all those questions easily, maybe there's not much you can study. You should just go to more complicated topics, or in our case, we can see that, yeah, there's room for improvement. We can really work on past tenses here. So any more ideas about this game? What else could it be about? Anyone? The teachers, I mean.
It can be some object. In Ukraine, there is a website called Rosetka, and on Facebook they post some gadget which looks like who knows what. Yeah? And they just write something like, "Is it this or is it that?" So you should guess what it is.
Right. So, or it could be without a picture, and you can actually use realia. You can show that, like, I have a bag, and there's something hidden in it, something that you are studying with your student, and they can ask you questions like, for what could it be, like some stationery? Yes. Can we write with it? Do I use it to sharpen my pen? Can I write in it? And so on. Yeah, or some magic box. Why not? Or, yeah, if you are working with children and studying animals, you can maybe take some toys and put in your magic box, and they have to guess the animal that they don't really see, but they have to ask all those questions. So it could also be some vocabulary practice. Quite a multifunctional game. Well, let's continue. Svetlana, how about you play a game with Julia now? One of your favorite ones, 5 seconds.
Okay.
Throwing you under the bus on that. But let's have fun. Why not?
Okay. Usually we do it together. We played like a 5 seconds game. So we prepare tasks, and for sure we do it. So my student gives me 5 tasks, for example, and I check that I answer some questions in 5 seconds only. And after that, I give some tasks to my students.
Right.
Like, for example, name 3 animals, name 3 items, clothes, etc., etc.
Okay, so what I wanted to do here is, you both see the list. This is our vocabulary practice. You both see the list, and you have 5 seconds to describe one item from the list. Yes, so you've been studying personality traits. I sent this list to Yuda before the seminar, so she should be more or less able to guess the words and to describe the words, hopefully. Hopefully she has done her homework. And you just take turns to describe this word. Oh, we have another participant. To describe this word or phrase to your partner. Okay?
So it's a little bit different. I need to describe these words in 5 seconds, one word.
Yeah.
One phrase. And my student should guess, or is it? Yeah. And I should
and
guess.
And then she should do the same. Yeah, so I think it's better to start with you. Can you please...
I'm not sure.
No?
That's a joke.
Well, at least that's what I've seen. I didn't know that game, 5 seconds. I was curious when you mentioned it, and that's what I Googled. That they just take a card. I saw how Jim, what's his name from the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon was playing with Jimmy Fallon, and they had movies to describe. They had movie titles, and they had 5 seconds to describe the movie, but not naming the title and the actors.
I remember that. It's from Ellen's show. 5 seconds game from Ellen.
Okay, but I saw the same game with Jimmy Fallon, and that's how they played. So, would you be willing to try, or should I play with Yulia?
Sure.
Okay,
sure,
go ahead.
I'm ready for anything. Okay, so so I have 5 seconds. I need to see the time. Okay, I start. So this is a person who is happy to see you, and he communicates with everyone else around him.
And I should guess, yeah? Extrovert? No?
Exactly, yeah.
Yay! Okay. Yulia?
Okay, now your turn.
Your turn. 5 seconds.
Yes.
And then I, yeah? Okay. Okay, it is a very relaxed person, and this person not worry about anything.
Babe!
Maybe it's self-centered. No? Thinks only of himself?
No.
Okay, who thinks only?
Relaxed.
Relaxed, and he doesn't worry about anything.
Easygoing.
Yay! Oh, okay.
I just give some time to give more explanation. That's what I usually do with my students.
Okay, Svetlana, let's try again.
Okay. Okay, 5 seconds. So if you ask me to look after your dog, I will gladly agree.
Babe.
Maybe to bend over backward. No.
Actually, it's the first thing which came to my mind, but I think it's a bit difficult, my explanation. So you can give me your dog without any problems. I will gladly look after it. I will feed it. I will walk it. No problem. And it won't die, when you come back.
Are you trustworthy?
Exactly.
Not trustworthy. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. And Yulia, let's try again.
Okay. I like myself. I think about only about myself.
Babe.
Okay. So this was my first word previously. No problem here. No center.
Okay. Was that fun, Yulia?
Yes, but I think it can be quite hard if we don't have the list of words, or
list of words.
Yeah, and or if I don't have some preparation.
Of course, in real life, it would be like some consolidation. So first you practiced, you learned these words, you did some activities, you saw them in a text, you did something else, and then you like show that you really learned them, like some maybe even a revision, something that you learned and now you need to refresh in your memory. So these should be, of course, with the words that you know. Yes, but we don't have that time first to teach you all the words and then to play the game. Okay, so teachers, what do you think? Is it a good game?
Yes, good game for revision, and it can also be grouped in different topics, like units which we passed, and we can choose, like, name the topic, and then we come up with a list of words, and it will be easier to guess when we know to what category it belongs.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Any other ideas?
picture, we check how well our students understand some words here, how well they are able to explain, to give some explanation, and to also understand at the same time. So again, everything, speaking, listening. So.
Okay, so who's keeping silent here? Maria, what do you think?
I think that I usually practice such kind of game, yeah. So, but maybe a little bit different. Yeah, and I think that we can use this even for beginner students, and just for use. And I actually usually practice. I don't give them list because my students, they know. Yeah, we studied, for example, some kind of words and special topics. So it's kind of this. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, of course. In real life, you know what words you were learning. Here, we just, here we're trying different things. So I gave Yulia the list to make it easier for her. And of course, it could be modified for different topics, different levels. If it's a beginner student, you can maybe play opposites. Yes, like not big, small, not easy, difficult. Because there's not much they can actually explain, but they can do at least something with some simple adjectives. Okay. We can see something else in the chat. Another 5 seconds game. Okay, we'll check it later. So, Yulia, our last game for today is about being stuck at the desert island. So let's imagine that you were traveling somewhere on a cruise liner, having fun, having all the modern conveniences, but there was a big storm, and luckily you can swim very well. And now you are on a desert island and you only have 4 items. So let's imagine that when you woke up, something was floating near the beach, but you managed to save only 4 things that can help you survive on the island. So which 4 things would you choose and why? Look through the items. Ask me any questions if there's something that you don't know. If there are some words that you don't know and the picture maybe doesn't help you much.
I think I understand all things. Okay. I think that I will take tent because I need the place where I will sleep. Also, I will take pot because I need something to eat, and I need something where I will cook my food.
Sorry. Just a second. Yeah. I just clicked.
I remember.
Pot. Yeah.
Okay. Also, maybe I will take compass because I will try to find the way to somewhere. Maybe the way to my home, the way to some. Maybe I will try to find some people and I don't know, but everybody have compass. So I think that I will need it too. And what else? Maybe mirror, because in all conditions I should be beautiful. Maybe I will find someone on this island.
Yeah, with a compass. Okay, I think tent is a really good choice because, well, do you know how to put up a tent, by the way?
I think that I had some experience.
Yeah. So okay. Maybe there's.
I think that I will do.
Yeah, maybe there's an instruction somewhere hidden in the tent. You can put it up. Okay, and what about the pot? Okay, you have a pot. You can cook your food, but how can you make fire? Do you know the methodology for this? How exactly do you need to do
I
it
will
with
find
sticks?
stones and
Do you think any stones can work to make fire? Just two
No.
random stones?
So I should check, but I can find something that will help me to make a fire.
So how about you take matches instead of a mirror? You will have fire and you will have your pot. What do you think? Could it be a good idea? Or maybe instead of the compass?
No, now if I see instead of a compass, also I can take I don't know.
Can your mirror help you in some way? What do you think?
No, of course not. Maybe it was a joke, but of course I will not take mirror.
Really? I would take it actually. I think it's a good thing. First of all, you can send some signals, right? And you can catch a sun ray and reflect it to some maybe dry wood or some like dry leaves, and it will make fire for you. That's a good idea to have a mirror. Okay, and what about your compass? Where are you going to go on an island?
Maybe instead of compass, I will take fishing rod. Maybe I will.
Great.
I will catch.
Do you know how to fish? Have you ever done that?
Maybe in my childhood.
Okay.
But in such conditions, I will do everything. Because if you want to eat, you can do everything.
Okay, you know, when I first saw this list, I noticed that there's something really, really great. Water purifier. So it's a device that makes water clean so that you can drink it. I think I would choose this as one of my items. What do you think? Is it more important to have a fishing rod or a water purifier?
Maybe water purifier, because maybe you can catch some fish with the help of your hands. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, if it's a really, really deserted island, if no one has ever lived there and the fish doesn't know that people actually can catch it, why not? Yeah, that could be another way out. Okay, so we can go on, and we can have more sides to the story. Like maybe there are some people that you can save, and you know that one of them is a doctor and another one is an engineer and another one is big and strong, but he's a criminal. And who would you choose and why, and so on. But because you can save only one, for example, or we can start talking about this island, what exactly you would do, how you would organize everything to survive there. We're just out of time, but in general, Julia, what do you think of such a game, that we have some imaginary situation and maybe we have a list of things to choose from, or maybe we have some complicated situation, like you can choose only one person, yes, a moral dilemma, who would you choose? What do you think? Is it an interesting game to play? How interesting is it for you to speak? Do you want to speak more in such a situation?
Yes, I think it's quite an interesting game because you can speak a lot. Yeah. Also, you can switch on your imagination and you can try different variants. And also your teacher can help you. And also I think that you can have different situation, different lists of the words, and you can have a lot of different, I don't know, scenario of this game.
Scenarios, yeah, exactly. Okay, and thank you, Yulia. So we as teachers, we can, if we have more time than I do now, we can actually discuss everything in this list. What could be some advantages and disadvantages of having an iPod with you, or having toilet paper, or having some vitamins and so on. We could select 4 best and 4 worst things to have. We can actually give different options. So what do you teachers think of this game? Is it a good thing to play with your students?
That's great. We may choose any topic, any pictures, and we may talk about dieting for who it can be interesting. We can choose, I don't know, some books to discuss which is better to read to a child, to a grown up, etc. So many variations, and at the same time, again, we work with some words. We explain why do we need them, how we can use them, etc. And we can ask a lot of questions. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, I guess people are leaving by now. So, like you said, we can use it for different topics with some modifications. And as we discuss different things, there will be a lot of emergent language. There will be a lot of situations when the student wants to say something and maybe they don't know, or they say it in some imperfect way, yes, and we can help them with this, and in this way they learn something new, not only recycle the vocabulary that they studied and the grammar, but they learn something new in the process of the game, which is actually always good. So let's sum it up. We have come to the conclusion that games are really an efficient way to practice all skills and systems. If the game is fun, why not? We can offer games to practically all students. It's very important to give clear instructions because, well, if the student is confused, if they start doing some wrong things, then it's not fun anymore. Well, luckily we didn't have this problem today, but it can happen. If you have serious students, you should explain or maybe elicit, like I asked Yulia about the questions, what we were practicing, what the game is for. That should be clear, other than fun. For many students, it's important to know that they're not wasting their time on some, childish activities, that they're really learning. And if you have shy students, insecure, that are not very confident, that don't want to speak, games might help them because their affective filter will go down and they will be able to absorb all the information that you are giving. So that would be all for today. We still have a couple of minutes, I believe. If you have any questions. Oh no, we don't have a couple of minutes. We've run out of time, but I'm still here. And if you have a couple of questions or if you want to share your impressions, some feedback, feel free to speak up. Anyone?
No one wants. I think I'm the only one person who likes it so much and ready to discuss it. For sure, I've got some ideas how to play some other things. For sure, I'm looking for something new at the time because yes, it's good to use some games, but with the time they are known and they become not so interesting already, and there is something you need something new again and again and again. So sure, I've liked the idea of 5 seconds in this game. It's more difficult than my version, and for sure I will try to play it because I try to help my students to switch from Russian into English. Translate it directly from Russian. It's a huge problem, I think, a lot of students. And I think this game can help, so they don't have a lot of time.
Right. There's no time to translate. You have to start thinking in English right away. Yeah.
5 seconds only.
5 seconds.
Thank you very much for that discussion.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks all the contributors to the chat. It was interesting to see your messages. Thanks, Yulia. I hope you had fun. Maybe even learned something. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it was really nice to talk to you today. Hope it was of some use, that your students will enjoy games more if they haven't been enjoying them so far. So thank you for your work, enjoy your teaching, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.